Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. I am Harrison Graham. On today's video, we're going to take your questions. Live Q&A here, hashtag Bears or Super Chat. So if you have any questions, I will be sure to answer as many as I can. Shout out to Tito with the Super Chat. Appreciate that. If you Super Chat, you can skip the line here. Who are the top 5 defensive ends the Bears can get in the draft in 2024? We need a game changer. I know one of the big names out there, producer Coop, close your ears, Dallas Turner with the Alabama Crimson Tide. The reason I'm trolling Coop is because he injured Texas's quarterback last year, which had him in shambles. But he's a talented player. Who's the kid from Ohio State who's kind of a speed rusher? I think it's Jack something. Look, it's early on in the 2024 draft cycle, so I'll kind of familiarize myself more, especially as we get closer to the college football season. But, yeah, obviously, edge, I would imagine, is going to be a big focus next offseason, especially with that draft. J-Dubs with the Super Chat. Would the Bears be able to put Sewell on the line like Dallas is doing with Parsons? Look, let's make something clear. Noah Sewell is not Micah Parsons. He's not have that athleticism. He's athletic, but he's not that. I think on occasion you could line him up at edge and have him blitz. Oregon did that a little bit this year, but he also kind of had his worst college year ever, and they had him do that more. So I definitely think he's a better off-ball backer than edge rusher. You know, maybe he's a poor man's opposite of Micah Parsons, whereas you can line him up on the defensive line occasionally, and he can have some effectiveness doing that, but he's better off ball, whereas Micah is probably better as an edge rusher, but can also play off ball. So, but again, like very poor man's. Like he is not Micah Parsons. Let's make that very, very clear. Wasim. Appreciate the Super Chat. If Phalis gets cut, I'll be impressed. Admitting mistake that quick, he has to get over his fumble problems. Yeah, I mean, I suppose that's a grain of salt with it. Like, if he gets cut, that means he's just not good enough, and the Bears aren't, they're not making exceptions for dudes, right? Like, yeah, it would suck to move on from a third-round pick that early, but it happens. It does. So, appreciate the Super Chat, Wasim. Could the Bears sign Cameron Brate? A topic I wanted to explore. Then we'll jump back into some of your mailbag questions here on Bears Now. The Bears, as of now, do not have a clear number 3 tight end, and I think Brate is a player that could fill that void. You look at the Bears tight end depth chart, you have a good 1-2 punch. I like Cole Kmet. I think he's a player that's going to be here for a little while. Robert Tonyan, I think, is a good tight end too. Comes down from Green Bay, knows the system, good red zone target. Tight end 3, Chase Allen or Jake Tonjes, whoever it is, both are, guys who have not proven it at this level. Allen was on the practice squad last year. Tonjes spent time on and off the roster as a fullback tight end hybrid, but he's got a lot to prove as well as a UDFA from a year ago. Whereas Cameron Brate, 31, 32 years old, he's been a good player in this league, and what's nice about him, he's been a starter, he's been a tight end 2, he's been a tight end 3. You think when the Bucs had Gronkowski and O.J. Howard, he was a tight end 3 and was effective in that role. He's got almost 3,000 receiving yards in his career, 33 touchdowns, decent enough blocker. I think as a tight end 3, he's kind of the perfect fit, right? Bring him in. You can work him in some red zone. He can be a blocker in the run game a little bit as well. Veteran, has been around winning, won a Super Bowl with Tampa. If you ended up with a Cole Kmet, Robert Tonyan, Cam Brate tight end room compared to last year when it was Cole Kmet, Ryan Griffin, and Trayvon Wesco, talk about an upgrade. I mean, I think it's already better with Tonyan, but I think Cam Brate is a name to keep in mind as we move forward here. Matt Eberflus said the Bears are still looking at signing some free agents. Maybe he's a player that is on their radar. What do you guys think? Should the Bears sign Cam Brate? Type S for sign or P for pass. I would definitely like to see it. Pin comment on today's video, so if you get hit with the YouTube ad break, type S for sign or P for pass. Scott Osborne, as we get back into our mailbag questions here. Looking at the 2 drafts under Ryan Poles, do you think Eddie Jackson and Jalen Jones are going to be replaced? I think you mean Jalen Johnson. Jalen Jones was a UDFA corner from last year, but I think you mean Johnson. Eddie Jackson, I think he'll for sure be here this year. He was playing great last year before the injury. We'll see about 2024. They could get out of his deal then if they wanted to. Jalen Johnson, if that's who you're talking about, I still think he's going to be here. I think he's going to be extended. The way Poles talked about him during the draft, Now, if Kyler Gordon and Tyreek Stevenson are just lighting it up early this year and you have not gotten a new deal done for Johnson, maybe that changes things, but I would still want to keep Johnson in that scenario and have that 1-2-3 punch because we know the Bears are going to play a lot in nickel. Michael Ellis, with the people that are free agents right now that are defensive ends, why is it taking so long to decide? Could be a couple reasons. One, the Bears want to go through some OTAs and maybe mandatory minicamp, see how some of these guys that they have look first. Two, the free agents that are out there, they might just be chilling and like, I don't want to go to OTAs. I don't want to go to minicamp. I'll sign with the team before training camp and then ramp up then because a lot of these guys are vets who have been around. Yada Ngakwe, he doesn't need to go through OTAs. So it's a two-way street. Another theory is some of those players might be holding out for bigger deals than they're currently getting on the market. So hard to know for sure, but I think it's notable that a lot of the edge rushers have not signed and have not signed for a while. So that is something to consider. If you want Bears coverage all offseason long, hit that subscribe button. Bear down. Let's make it happen. It's youtube.com/Bears now. We're going to hit you with the latest Bears news, rumors, and updates all offseason long. Mike, a Nintendo Master. Who do you think will be RB1? Roschon Johnson, Deontay Foreman, or Khalil Herbert? It's tough to say. I think Khalil Herbert starts the season as your number one running back. You look at what he's done through 2 years as a complimentary back to David Montgomery, especially last year. I thought really ran well in this system in particular. Now, you'd like him to be a little bit more effective as a pass catcher, but maybe that's where the heavy rotation comes in. Maybe Herbert ends up leading this team in carries and in rushing yards, but I think Roschon Johnson instantly is probably a better pass catcher. Now, Herbert led the NFL last year among qualified rushers in yards per carry at 5.7. So he really played well. He ran well, but a couple of deficiencies he has. He's not a great pass catcher, and he's really not very good at all in pass protection. So critical third downs, you're probably going to go Roschon Johnson. Deontay Foreman in short yardage, he might be that guy. He can be a bruiser for this team. So I still think it's going to be a pretty heavy rotation, but I do think Herbert probably is the starter, the lead back. So that is who I would lean with. But what do you guys think? Who is RB1, at least to start this season? Is it Khalil Herbert? If so, type KH. Is it Roschon Johnson? If so, type RJ. If it's Deontay Foreman, type DF. Let me know in the comments section down below. I think all these guys are going to get opportunities, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see it play out. Jason M., who do you think leads our defense in sacks this year? As of today, I'll say DeMarcus Walker. I hope it's not Jaquan Brisker again. A rookie safety should not lead an NFL team in sacks, but that's how poor the pass rush was last year. I'll say DeMarcus Walker, but we'll see. Maybe it's a player that's not on this team yet. Maybe a guy like Travis Gibson or Dominique Robinson has a breakout year. Maybe Javon Dexter is at Pickens on the interior breaks out. Justin Jones, who knows? But I will lean with the guy who had 7 sacks for Tennessee last year. Richard Lococo, how much touchdowns do you think DJ Moore will have this upcoming season? And do you think he will be a good player for fantasy football? Yeah, I think he'll be a good fantasy guy. I'll be curious to see where he goes in fantasy drafts because the Bears are still going to be a team that runs the ball a lot. But he's this team's number one, so he could be one of those receivers that you get a little bit later that is still a number one on a team. So you could have good value there. So I think that's in place. As far as touchdowns, I'll say 8 touchdowns for DJ Moore. One every other game about. I could see that being the case. Renta for 88, do you think there's a chance that Sewell will get moved to edge? Yeah, we kind of got asked this earlier. I really don't. I know Oregon used him in that way a little bit. I think what's more likely is they use him some as a blitzing linebacker. Now, on occasion, he might be able to line up at edge. He did some of that, like I said, this past year at Oregon. And look, that's valuable. But that didn't end up really being a strength of his. He was better as an off-ball backer. So I think that's where he'll play primarily, but I do think he could blitz some from that linebacker position. Tech is My Life gets the final word here. Why not bring back Khalil Mack? Well, he's under contract with the Chargers. But if he gets cut post-June 1st, hey, let's do it, man. Like, Khalil Mack, I would absolutely bring him back. He'd be your best pass rusher. So definitely open to that if he gets cut. I don't think the Bears will trade to bring him back. But there was some chatter earlier in the offseason that the Chargers could opt to move off of Khalil Mack. So weirder things have happened. You just never know. Appreciate all the questions here on today's mailbag. My name is Harrison Graham. If you are interested in syncing up with me on social media, hit me up at HGrahamNFL on Twitter. Same handle on Instagram as well, at HGrahamNFL. You can follow me and ask me your questions over there.